Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I promised you a ton of content ahead of Chelsea Real Madrid. I'm super excited. My friend Rodrigo is joining me again. It's wicked early for him. I feel so terrible that he's had to wake up at such an I don't want to say ungodly hour, but it's a very early hour, especially when you're a student. So thank you so much for joining. How's it going?
Hi, Elizabeth. No, I'm honestly super happy to be here. I would have woken up even 2 hours earlier, even if it meant to be here. Funny story, guys. I actually I snoozed and I lost. We're supposed to do this a little bit earlier, but anyway, I'm here and I'm like, what, second year in a row? This is our third stream now. This is crazy. This is awesome. So I always love talking with you guys, kind of getting your the Chelsea perspective. Our account has grown a lot, and we actually have a pretty big fan base of Chelsea fans now. Ever since we've done our two other streams, I feel like every time I post any Champions League content, I always get a Chelsea perspective on there. So it's great. I love it.
I love it. And you're definitely a fan fave over on my channel. People are always commenting on my videos. When are you doing a video with Rodrigo again? I'm like, I'm working on it. And the draw worked out in our favor. For better, for worse, as content creators, it did work out. As fans, I'm a little bit nervous. So I kind of want to take a look at the Real Madrid side for a second, because I think a lot of Chelsea fans saw that PSG game, maybe the Barcelona game, and they're thinking, well, maybe we have a chance. So I want to dissect those games a little bit and then talk about this Chelsea Real Madrid game. So against Barcelona, obviously a big 4-0 loss, but you guys were without two of your main players. Benzema was out injured, and Mendy, your left back, was also out. So you had Nacho filling in and just got destroyed by Dembele. But that's not going to be the case in this Chelsea match. They're both going to be back, right? And what do you think the main problems were in that match? And are we going to see similar problems potentially?
All right, yeah. So that Barcelona game, obviously it hurt so much because of the score. Overall, in the grand scheme of La Liga, it didn't really affect us too much. Right now we still have a 12-point lead on Barcelona, who's currently second place. I mean, they've kind of returned their season, turned it back around, quote unquote. But yeah, just like you kind of started describing, the main problem for that game was the fact that we had Benzema, mainly Benzema missing, but in the end, Mendy being out ended up also being a huge problem because Nacho cannot keep up with the pace of Dembele. Now, Chelsea, just like Barcelona now, is a team that has very fast wingers. I mean, you guys have like Havertz, Pulisic, various fast players. So having fast outside back is going to be a huge key for Madrid to be able to compete with Chelsea, something that we definitely did not see last year. But here's the problem with that Barcelona game and why I don't think that this will happen again. Two main mistakes were made by Ancelotti, our coach. He, instead of just playing our game and using the same tactics, just switching out the personnel, putting a different striker in for Benzema, whether it was Bale, whether it was Mariano, Jovic, who's also been in really bad form. But anything, anything to keep playing the same system where the players are used to. Instead of doing that, he opted to switch the formation, try to play with Modric as a false nine, which at first maybe sounds like creative. Maybe he had this idea on his mind. But one, he's never ever this season practiced he practiced once with a false nine, which is Isco, and it didn't go well. But he tried it again now with Modric, hoping that Modric is a little better of a player. Maybe he'll do something better. And we lost Modric in the midfield, who's one of our best players there. So we were discompensated like that. And the whole team recognized that after, during the game, they had no idea what they were doing in terms of tactics. Even during the second half, when Madrid was already down 2-0, Ancelotti went to 3 in the back, 3/5 in the back formation which he has not played with at all this season. So I think it was just a game filled with experiments against a Barcelona team that we may have overestimated. So it all just kind of crumbled down, and that's where they caught us with that 4-0. But like you said, the overall answer to your question is that I don't think that is something that we're going to be seeing again.
Yeah, and that's what I want to caution Chelsea fans, because I've seen a lot of talk about how Real Madrid have been playing, and I don't think it's going to be the same story. I did catch the second half of the Celta Vigo game this past weekend. I personally didn't feel that Real Madrid played so well. You got a couple of penalties. Benzema scored two. I think missed one. But how is your general form? I would say, kind of taking these key players missing out of it. If you were just to have a fully fit team, how's it been?
There is this feeling that Madrid isn't, in my opinion, that Madrid isn't getting to this game in the best of forms. I do feel like even with the players back, there's something lacking in the team. I know fatigue is obviously a factor, but that is a factor for a lot of these teams. One of the biggest problems and one of the reasons why I haven't liked Ancelotti too much is the fact that he doesn't rotate because that's just his tactics, or he doesn't know how to rotate. So we're getting a team that's just like last season, coming into the end of the season pretty burnt out. I would say last season compared to this season, they were even more burnt out. So that's something that gives me a little bit of hope. Last season, Toni Kroos could barely play 45 minutes. Modric was also dead. This season we have Valverde, who's hasn't had that many minutes, and he's currently super in form. So I think the Madrid community is pushing for Valverde to start. We have to see Valverde start in the middle, because what did we see last year? A team with Modric, Toni Kroos, and Casemiro got run over in the middle by Chelsea. And if Ancelotti didn't learn from Zidane's mistakes, and he goes and makes the same mistake, if tomorrow afternoon for you guys, you see Modric, Casemiro, and Toni Kroos in that starting lineup, you just know that I'm going to be worried at least.
I mean, not to take away from them, because they've been incredible players, but they are getting to a point where they've played a lot of minutes
Exactly.
in their careers, and they're aging. We've seen that with N'Golo Kante as well for Chelsea, that he can't play every single game because he's getting more and more injuries, little niggles here or there. We have to really protect him, and I think that maybe you guys are in more or less the same situation. Talking about your last Champions League game against PSG, you guys went 2 goals down, but came back miraculously, courtesy of a Benzema hat trick. How are you feeling about that match, knowing that I felt like in the first leg, Madrid didn't play well at all. In the second leg, they looked better. They were playing at home. They did make the comeback, but they also had played poorly for a large majority of the game, and PSG did crumble, which they have a past of doing that. They don't hold on to leads. They tend to kind of crumble under the pressure a bit. So given that you went 2 goals down, but then went on to score three and win the game and really, move forward, does that give you more or less confidence going into this match?
I think, I mean, overall, the team, that game had to have filled the team with confidence. For me personally, it's different because I'm the type of player that I don't ride on a wave of a good spell like that. I try to just look deeper into the grand scheme of things, and just kind of like you're phrasing the question. It's the overall sensations from that whole 180 minutes. It's not good. It's not one that I would be happy about. I think there was a general whenever we were drawn up with PSG, I will never forget this because I was more on the worried side. I was like, look, guys, I know PSG did not have a good group stage, and I know they did not have a good start to their season overall, and we did. And most of the fans on my channel were really hype, which I, after seeing all that, I was like, you know what, like I'm actually gonna kind of hopping on this hype because they have a point. But when it came to that first leg, I was like, oh my god, like this is exactly why I didn't want to get too like overly hype about it. Um, uh, but just kind of adding on to that, like I feel like the first leg of that PSG game is another demonstration of Ancelotti's mistakes with us this season. Yes, the team is doing good in La Liga, but La Liga has been a league that's so much, the level of it is so much lower than it used to be, and the fact that Madrid is first and by so many points, I feel like it's more due to the other teams just being incapable of winning games rather than Madrid really just being a dominant team in the league. So I just don't want Madrid fans to be too for all this to mask all the problems that are actually, in the team. This is not a perfect team. They have a lot of flaws. But with that being said, I've been kind of talking down the team a lot. This is a team that if they smell blood, if they know how to compete. Aside from the Barca game, because obviously we already talked about all the tactical changes that were implemented that day. Aside from that, this is a team that will never really get blown out like that. They always know how to compete, especially when it's a big game. So it would be the biggest surprise to me if the team were to be somehow blown out by Chelsea in this first leg. I wouldn't really expect that. And then adding on to that, it's a team that if they're able to keep the game close, if they're able to start to smell some fear in Chelsea and their tactics, and they start to see that, oh man, like Chelsea came in, with some big hopes, big dreams, get a couple goals early on, and then if they don't, they kind of start backing down. Then and only then, that's when Madrid, I think, is the true lion comes out, and that's when they'll really bite.
Interesting. So, yeah, I kind of cautioning Chelsea fans as well. I'm always super cautious going into like literally any game. It doesn't matter who the
You're
opponent
more
is.
on the cautious side of fans, yeah.
Yeah, I am. I like to be like a little bit realistic. I'm not just going to be like, oh, yeah, we're going to smash them like we did it last year. We're definitely going to do it again. But who do you think is going to be in the starting lineup for Madrid? There's a lot of talking points. I feel like who's going to play in your midfield, the defense. I expect it to be more or less the same. I'm not too sure. I think Mendy will be back at the left position, but walk us through who you think is going to be playing and maybe like any strengths and weaknesses that you see in this team.
Yeah. Starting off with the goalkeeper, probably arguably the best player for us this season. Like Courtois, oh my god, I words cannot describe how much I love that man. He is absolutely phenomenal. Like, oh my gosh, I will bow down to that guy.
But do you think he's going to be affected? Because I am positive the Chelsea fans will be booing his head. He's like, I hope that I return to Stamford Bridge and I don't get booed. I was like, I know for facts, like Chelsea fans do not like Courtois after how he left the club.
I know.
So
I don't think honestly, like a player of his level, I don't think he's gonna get affected by the whistles anymore. I feel like if anything at this point, these type of players, the more they get whistled at, whenever they know they're getting whistled because they were so good and they literally left the club to go to another club. I feel like that just kind of would fill them with confidence. I don't think it'd be like, oh my god, they're whistling me like that. I feel like it's like, yep, like I'm back, baby. But anyways, kind of going back to the question. I'm sorry, my voice is my throat has been really bad since I came back from Louisiana. But that's why I'm literally.
It's Rodrigo's birthday, you guys.
And I was out there having a good time in Louisiana. But anyways, going back to the question, Courtois in goal, right back Carvajal, who has been very average this season, very average, and that's kind of hyping him up a little bit because in the big games he tends to make a lot of mistakes. He at least has one big crucial mistake. I mean, against PSG, he gave away that penalty to Mbappe that Messi ended up thankfully missing. But he always has a moment that is like, but whenever he does have a good game, then he's really good helping us offensively. So it's just kind of a roll of the dice to see what kind of Carvajal we're going to get tomorrow. Center back, Militao and Alaba. Honestly, these two have just paired up so well. They are so solid in defense. Sometimes they make a few mistakes here and there, but with Militao's physical attributes, he's able to a lot of times make up for it. And then Alaba, he's the brains. He came and replaced Sergio Ramos. Like it was a perfect replacement. Left back has to be Mendy. He once again brings so much speed and strength to the team. In the midfield, that's where once again I already said it. I think we have to have Valverde. He has to be in there because he's the only player that can keep up with Kante and the other and Kovacic and the other Chelsea midfielders. Modric and Toni Kroos, as good as they are, they can't keep up with that kind of tempo of a game. Of course, we need to have them in there to add more quality to the passing, to the plays. But it's got to be Valverde and Casemiro doing the dirty work because there's going to be a lot of dirty work into this game. Now, where my question is Ancelotti going to go with like a 4-4-2 formation where we have Benzema and Vinicius up top, or is he going to go stick with a 4-3-3 and throw Valverde to the right wing? Now, my take on it is every time we see Valverde on the right wing, he kind of gets lost. We don't have the same Valverde when he's on the right wing as when he's actually playing as a center mid. But the team has not, like, if I look at the season, the team has not trained with the 4-4-2, having Valverde in the actual midfield too much. It's usually him replacing Toni Kroos or Modric. So is Ancelotti going to have the balls, honestly, to take out Modric? Because I don't see us taking out Toni Kroos. He brings too much balance. I would personally, if I were the coach, I would take out Modric and bring Modric in for the last 30 minutes of the game with fresh legs and the creativity. At that point, Chelsea won't have the same legs to keep running and keep the tempo of the game as fast, and Modric will be able to just keep up just fine. So I would take the risk to take Modric out of the lineup as much as that has negatives, and just keep Casemiro, Valverde, and Toni Kroos, and then keep a front three up top. So we still have that speed, that width on the wings with Vinicius Jr. and either Marco Asensio or Rodrigo. They've kind of been both like alternating all season long. Some of them, sometimes Asensio has a good game, sometimes Rodrigo has a good game. In the grand scheme of the season, Asensio's probably had the more complete season. However, Rodrigo always brings some sort of change of pace that is often good in the second half. So I personally think he'll go with Asensio.
Interesting. I love you read so much detail and knowledge, which I absolutely love. So I appreciate it so much. Thank you. How do you think that Real Madrid are going to approach this game, knowing it is away? I don't think there's really going to be so many Chelsea fans. I think only season ticket holders are available to go to the game because of the circumstances surrounding the club right now. And there's no away goals. And something that I saw versus PSG is that I felt like Real Madrid were kind of going for the draw and hoping to win it at the Bernabeu. So do you think that they're going to have like a similar approach, or they're just going to go all out?
It's a really good question. When you look at the PSG game and you look how you approach that game, which was more of a sit back, let them be the protagonists of the game, let them bring the ball to you, attack you, and then you counter them. But with how bad I think that works so well for us in La Liga, because La Liga teams are bound to make mistakes and we can capitalize on those mistakes. But I think the PSG game was the prime example of why you can't do that in Europe. In Europe, these teams have quality. Chelsea has quality. PSG has quality. And if you give the ball to these teams, they'll punish you, like, period. So I think if Madrid goes out there with that same game of like play style, maybe it's gonna have to be similar, because there's no way that Madrid goes out there and presses Chelsea in their stadium. I can't see them doing that. One, Madrid is not built to press teams like this, especially not all game. And two, if it's in when you're away and you have the other fans or like the stadium chanting for the other team, it changes the atmosphere completely. With that being said, sorry.
Oh, you poor thing. Get some water.
Yeah, that's why I had to have that water.
Nice. Good.
Anyways, I can't. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I can't see the team defending or going out there with the same tactics that they did against PSG. They have to learn from their mistakes, but at the same time, I can't see the other spectrum where it's like press. So they're gonna have to find some middle ground where they're still trying to get a hold of the possession, attack, here and there, but also be careful in the back and not make any silly mistakes. And then try to hold the game either as close to 0-0, or if you score a goal, keep it 1-0 as they can. And then back in when they go back to Madrid, that's whenever they can take the game to Chelsea. That's what I would personally do.
I'm so nervous. I'm gonna be surrounded by the Real Madrid fans when I go to the game.
That's right. You told me about that.
It's gonna be very difficult. I'll be by myself, surrounded by Real Madrid fans, and if Chelsea lose, I'm just gonna cry. But who at Chelsea are you most afraid of? Because like personally, I see a massive weakness in our left-hand side. Our attack hasn't been like super consistent. I think like Kai Havertz is finally starting to find some form. Christian Pulisic is starting to find some form-ish. It kind of depends.
In the international break.
Yeah, he did. He did do well, but he had the weekend off because he was recovering from jet lag and obviously international duties. So I don't know if he's thrown into this match. I do like him, and I think like especially with Carvajal, I think Pulisic against Carvajal could be like a very interesting matchup, especially considering we don't have Ben Chua. I would be feeling much more confident if we have Ben Chua in this team. But which players of Chelsea are you kind of nervous to face it up against?
Okay, well, before I answer your question, why don't you give us just the predicted lineup for Chelsea? I just want to see kind of
Okay.
because I've been watching Chelsea every week this season, so I just kind of want to see what the probably the most like expected lineup would be right now.
So for me, I think it's going to be Mendy in goal, Reece James at right wing back. I think we're going to play like a back 3/5. Reece James at right wing back. I think we'll maybe see Christensen, Thiago Silva, Rudiger. Like that right center back side is kind of up for grabs. It's going to be Christensen or Chalaba or Aspie, maybe. And left wing back, I have no idea. I think it's going to be Marcus Alonso, but he's been playing really poorly. So maybe it's going to be Aspie. We don't really have anybody else that can play in that left wing back spot. In the midfield, Conte, I think is definitely going to start. I think it's going to be Conte Kovacic, but you could always kind of take one out and put Jorginho in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Kai Havertz will start. I think Mason Mount will start. And I'm going to go for a Christian Pulisic to start. But Thomas Tuchel always rotates the attack as well.
That's crazy. I feel like you guys bought at the end of a perfect season yesterday or last year. You guys bought Lukaku to come in and slot and be that final missing man that you guys needed to have the complete perfect lineup. And here we are a year later, kind of seeing similar problems where the striker position is still up for grabs, and neither Timo Werner nor Lukaku won it at this point.
I know Kai Havertz is the best option, and Lukaku's been benched. He's been benched. I was actually surprised that he was benched versus Brentford at the weekend because I thought for sure he's not going to be starting. So maybe you like rest Kai Havertz and play Lukaku, but no.
Yeah. Okay, to answer your question now, for me, last year, Rudiger was a player that absolutely impressed me. I thought he was just unpenetrable. Like if he made Chelsea's defense just like I was sitting here watching the game and I was like, there's absolutely going to be no way Madrid like gets past Rudiger right now. Like he was phenomenal. So he's definitely high on my list of players that I'm like worried about. I don't know if he's having as good of a season, especially with everything surrounding him about potentially leaving the club. I feel like overall, I'm gonna deviate from the question a little bit, but I'll bring it back. I feel like one of the reasons why I think this year will be a little better for Madrid compared to last year is just kind of the problems that I've seen Chelsea face through this season. Obviously, everything that the club is kind of going through right now, but all the contract issues that they're having with Christensen is, I would say he's basically a Barca player at this point. Rudiger leaving too. My gosh, so annoying.
Drink some water. I can talk.
I know.
I think I'm really hopeful that Rudiger stays, but it depends how quickly they sort the ownership situation as well.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like from like the things I've seen, like I feel like Rudiger is more out than in, but at the same time, I feel like Rudiger is asking for a lot of money from either the teams that he's trying to negotiate with, and I don't think any team is really up to give him that much money. Like, yeah, you had a good season, but like, calm down. But anyways, let's bring it back. Azpilicueta also has like some sort of question mark in that contract situation as well. Oh no, did he?
It got automatically extended, but that doesn't mean that he's going to stay. It just means that he can stay for one more year.
Okay, gotcha. Well, yeah. So there's those kind of like issues, and there's also like the issues up top with like the Lukaku, Werner's still not having a breakout season or anything like that. So all those little like mini problems are what make me hope, and also the fact that Madrid, they should have learned from their previous experiences. If not, if they go out there and do the same thing, then at this point, like we deserve to lose and like we're idiots. But I surely hope that doesn't happen. With that being said, I feel like this is kind of similar to when you guys were like kind of afraid of like playing against Hazard, and we're like, no, like he's not having a good season. It's like, don't worry about Hazard. I feel like Lukaku is a player that I know the moment he steps on that field, I know like the Lukaku I've seen from like Inter and these players that are just like top quality, like all it takes is one play for them to just score. So Lukaku's always been a player that I've always rated really highly. He's really big. He's hard to defend. He's got a good shot on him. He's not slow, even though sometimes you would think he's slow because of how big he is. And he's such a good player. With that being said, against Madrid, we saw last year against Madrid, we saw I think Kai Havertz really impressed me. Who am I missing?
Christian.
Mason Mount. Mason Mount's exactly what I was thinking about. He was impressive, and then even the Euros, he had a really really good tournament, which is where I've mainly seen him play. So those are the main players that I think I'm more worried about. But we'll see. It's just that the change of pace that they can bring to the game is what worries me.
Yeah, let's see. Real Lukaku, like I just feel like the team don't play as fluidly when he's on the pitch. We don't really know like how to play with him, and I feel like they have like very different styles of football, like the team that Thomas Tuchel created and won the Champions League with in Lukaku. So I think Chelsea fans would say don't be so nervous about it. But he is a world-class player. He still has like a really good shot and that like striker's instinct, but he has not been having a good season for Chelsea. Final couple of questions. Do you think that Real Madrid are going to go into this game or just like this tie with like a vengeance because Chelsea knocked them out last season? And what's your score prediction for this leg? Let's just do this leg.
I do feel like in the locker room they're probably looking into this game like, all right, guys, like this is the time to bounce back from that. I think they are probably going to take it as some sort of like revenge for what happened last season. But I don't think they're going to be out there like publicly saying like, oh, like this is our revenge. I think actually maybe one player may have said like they are looking into this tie as the revenge tie. We'll see. It'll be really interesting. It'll be really interesting. And it's going to be once again. I mean, we said it last year. It's going to be a really close game. I don't think any team is out here. I don't think any team's going to get blown out or anything by any means. Score prediction. I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't see more than 3 goals. I think would already be a lot of goals in like if it's a 2-1, I'd be surprised. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna go for either a 1-1 tie. Let's see. I think there's gonna be a tie. And I'm even afraid to say it might even be like a 0-0 tie, honestly. Which would be pretty.
Between like a 1-1 and then I'm like, but I should predict that my team wins at home, so maybe a 1-0. But I'm feeling very nervous about the game as always. So I kind of go like toggling between those two. I'm 50-50. It's going to be a crazy game. My heart is pounding already, and the game's not till tomorrow. I'm going to be a mess when I go to the game. I'm just going to be so freaking nervous. But Rodrigo, thanks so much for waking up so early and for taking the time to come on my channel. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let everybody know where they can find you.
Guys, once again, thank you guys for having me in the channel. It's always a pleasure to be here. I respect all the Chelsea fans very much. And you guys can find us on YouTube. Just look up El Merengue College, which you see right.
Yeah, it's always so different up there.
Right, yeah, I was like, no, it's not this. It's the other one. You guys can find us there. And once again, our account is more tailored to those reactions. We post live reactions, not just to games, but usually to like draws. I actually just posted a video that I saw that you saw for the World Cup group stage draw. I didn't get to see that draw live, but what I did was actually I turned off all my notifications on my phone for any spoilers on what the groups were, and I had to wait a whole day to find out what the groups were. I couldn't believe I stayed away from like social media and everything for that long. Just to be able to have a video in which I could still react to the groups. So in that video, like we're kind of reacting to obviously the groups, analyzing, making our predictions. So it's an interesting one. Aside from that, obviously any reaction videos to Madrid content will always be there. So yeah.
If Chelsea win, you'll see him react to.
And you can go back. Actually, that's very good for me. you can go back and watch. This is a shameless plug. The reactions to to last year's game. Literally, Madrid heartbreak, Madrid fan heartbreak, right there. Go
Oh,
enjoy it.
I'm so nervous. But guys, hope that you enjoyed this video. Rodrigo brought like this incredible insight from a Real Madrid perspective. And yeah, I know we're both pumped about the game, probably a bit nervous as well. Hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to sub to his channel, El Merengue Culé, and sub to my channel as well while you're at it. Hope that you enjoyed this content. Have a great rest of your day or evening, whatever time you're watching it. And until next time, I'm out. Bye.